It's 10 p.m. and it's still 95 degrees Fahrenheit outside. A trucker climbs into his metal box that's been baking in direct sun since 9 a.m., closes the door, and lies down. No hotel, no shower, and no air conditioning humming. Just a mattress and 12 straight hours of trapped heat. So how do truckers sleep in their cab that's been cooking for hours? The answers will surprise you. Important to know is what heat actually does to a sleeper cab, because it can be life-threatening. A parked truck with no airflow can climb to over 150 degrees Fahrenheit inside within an hour of direct sun exposure. That is just physics. Metal absorbs heat, glass traps it, and a sealed cab with the windows up turns into an oven rather than a bedroom. Dashboards crack under that kind of heat. Door handles get too hot to touch bare-handed by early afternoon. The obvious fix seems simple, but comes with a catch. Leave the engine running, blast the air conditioning, problem solved. Except it is not that simple, and for the same reason it never is. Most cities and states have anti-idling laws, and they do not make an exception for summer. The fines can run into the thousands of dollars. So a driver cannot just sit there with the engine on and the air conditioning blasting all night, even if that would make the whole problem disappear in about 10 minutes. This is where a cool piece of equipment comes back into the story. The same auxiliary power unit that keeps a cab warm at -40 also keeps it cool at 105. It runs independently from the main engine, burning a fraction of the fuel a full diesel engine would, and it can power an actual air conditioning unit built specifically for the sleeper compartment. No idling law violated, no 5-figure fine. Just cool air moving through the bunk while the main engine sits completely off. Some units run all night on less than 2 gallons of diesel, barely a dent in a tank that holds hundreds. But not every truck has one, and that's where things get a lot more interesting. Auxiliary power units cost thousands of dollars to install, and plenty of older trucks or independent owner-operators never got around to adding one. So for a huge number of drivers, summer nights come down to something a lot more basic and a lot more clever than you'd expect. The first line of defense, and one that most people drive right past, is reflective sunshades. Not the cheap cardboard ones you clip to a car windshield. Truck-specific shades, custom cut for the windshield and side windows, designed to bounce sunlight back out before it ever turns into heat inside the cab. Parked correctly, with the shades up by mid-morning, drivers can knock the interior temperature down by 20 or even 30 degrees compared to a truck with no protection at all. It sounds too simple to matter that much. It matters that much. Then the parking strategy comes into play, and this is where experience really shows. Rookie drivers pull into whatever spot is open. Veterans study the angle of the sun. They'll park so the truck's shaded side faces east in the morning and rotates away from direct afternoon exposure, using trees, buildings, or even other trucks as a windbreak against the heat. Some drivers will move their truck 2 or 3 times over the course of a day, chasing shade across a parking lot like it's a full-time job. In a way, it is. Regulars at busy truck stops even know which specific rows fill with shade first, and they'll aim for those spots before anyone else even thinks to look. Airflow matters just as much as shade, and this is where the real difference gets made. Most sleeper cabs have vent windows or small fan systems built into the bunk area, and drivers run 12-volt fans constantly through the summer, positioning them to pull outside air across the bed the second the sun starts going down. A truck that feels unbearable at 4 o'clock in the afternoon can be genuinely comfortable by 9 o'clock once that airflow gets moving and the asphalt starts releasing its heat back into the night. And then there's the bedding itself, which turns out to be a bigger deal than people assume. Drivers who spend real time on the road figure out fast that a regular comforter is a summer mistake. Cooling mattress pads, moisture-wicking sheets, and lightweight blankets aren't a luxury upgrade. They're survival gear. Some drivers keep a completely separate summer bedding setup packed away for exactly this stretch of the year, swapping it out the same way you'd swap a wardrobe. Hydration plays a bigger role than most people realize too, and it's the part that catches drivers off guard the most. A hot cab doesn't just make it hard to fall asleep, it dehydrates a driver over the course of the night without them even noticing, which means waking up at 3 in the morning with a headache and a dry mouth is a lot more common in July than it is in January. Experienced drivers keep a cooler stocked with water right next to the bunk, because reaching for a warm bottle from the dash at 2 in the morning is not exactly appealing. Some even freeze a bottle or two before climbing in, letting them melt slowly through the night like a homemade air conditioner. Now, here's where it gets interesting, because heat does something cold weather doesn't. It pushes a lot of drivers outside the truck entirely. In winter, the cab is the shelter. In summer, sometimes the parking lot itself becomes the better option. Drivers will set up a folding chair in the shade of the trailer, eat dinner outside, and wait until the sun's fully down before climbing into the bunk. Some truck stops even see drivers running portable fans off a battery pack just to sit outside a little longer, delaying the moment they have to seal themselves back into that box. And for the drivers with the money and the miles to justify it, the answer is the same one you'd expect by now, just built to a whole different standard. A high-end custom sleeper with a full electric air conditioning system, powerful enough to cool the cab down in minutes rather than hours, running off battery packs that get topped up during the drive. For those drivers, summer heat is barely a conversation. For everyone else, it's shades, fans, parking angles, and bedding swapped out twice a year. A whole system built out of habit that most people driving past would never notice. Because that's really what all of this comes down to. Heat, like cold, isn't something a truck driver gets to avoid. There's no calling in sick to the weather. The load still has to move. The hours still have to be logged. And the truck is still the only option there is. So drivers adapt. They learn the sun's schedule better than their own. They learn which side of a parking lot to avoid at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and which one to grab by 6 o'clock. And somewhere around 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock at night, once the fans are running and the asphalt has finally cooled off, most of them fall asleep just fine. Not because the truck stopped being hot, because they figured out, mile by mile and summer by summer, exactly how to beat it.